Welcome to yet another session of Jenny's Commerce Land, wherein we would be seeing some basics of economic class 12th. For this session, I'm referring to the syllabus of Maharashtra State Board prescribed by the State Board of Maharashtra State. But since this is relating to the portions mostly the same as what we see across in other boards like CBSE as well. So it can be beneficial to all my other friends as well. Welcome you all to the session of regarding economic subject. So this would be a generic one. So we would be covering every chapter in very short capsule format. So coming to the first chapter that is prescribed under this textbook, that is Introduction to Micro and Macroeconomics. We have studied about microeconomics and macroeconomics in a very small jot. We have studied about the definitions of economics and everything in class 11th. But now we are going to see in detail what macroeconomics and microeconomics is all about. Now, micro and macroeconomics are two branches of economics. So we know that economics is a branch of social science which deals with the scarcity of resources, the utilization of the resources, etc., etc. So this economics has two branches, and they are nothing but the microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now we shall see the term. These both terms are derived from a Greek word that is micros and macros. Micros means small or a millionth part, and macros means large. Now, who introduced these topics? These topics was introduced by Norwegian economist Ragnar Friis of Oslo University in 1933. So this is another one important point that you need to remember over here, that it was introduced by Ragnar, and also we need to understand that these terms were derived from the Greek word, which is very much important from your exam point of view. And this particular flow chart you may draw in your exam for describing the main branches of economics. As we are going in a capsule format, I would like to move to the next one, that is a meaning of microeconomics. We understood that this is from the Greek word and it means a small part of thing, but this microeconomics deals with a very small part of national economy. The meaning of micro is a small part or millionth part, but what does this micro? What is this micro related? It's microeconomics, so a micro of the national economy. Now, this studies only individual units of the economy, be it economic actions or behavior, such as individual consumer, individual producer, or a firm, the price of a particular commodity or a factor, etc. Now, here you can see certain definitions also provided. I would like to go through the first definition that is provided by Morris Dobb. So what does Morris Dobb say? Microeconomics is a fact, a microscopic, in fact, is a microscopic study of an economic. You know how amoeba or bacteria looks under a microscope lens. So similar way, when we are studying all the minute parts of the economics, we can say that this is what is microeconomics, and this definition is given by Mr. Morris Dobb. Moving forward, yes, now moving forward, we can also understand about the scope of microeconomics. So what is the scope, or what is the extent to which this microeconomics can work, right? So this microeconomics, what does it do? It can be divided into pricing theory, product theory, and also we can see there is economic welfare. So it's related to pricing, which is related to the product and the factor, also related to the economic welfare. Now, when we go through this product pricing, we can see that product's price is determined by the two market forces, that is demand and supply. Therefore, the product pricing is divided into two: demand analysis and supply analysis. Now, coming to the theory of factor prices. So there are certain factors to production. So production doesn't happen overnight, right? So it can there can be different factors that are related to this. So this is rent, wages, interest, and profit, which can be a part of this factor pricing. Now I can see when I come to the economic welfare, it can be efficiency in production, efficiency in consumption, or overall economic efficiency, wherein economic welfare can be measured. Now let's see the explanation of these. As I've said, there are 4 factors of production that's given over here. And also we can see in the first part that we are studying about the product pricing, it would be relating to an individual's commodity, how it demands and supply is working. And over here, you can also see the theory of economic welfare. One important thing we can see over here is that the focus of the microeconomics is mainly confined to price theory and resource allocation. It does not study about the whole economy. Therefore, it's only confined to individual units. So in microeconomics, we are not going to unemployment or national, any inflation or any national problems. Now, coming to the features of microeconomics, the first feature is that we saw it is micro, it's small, it studies individual units. So first one is that it studies individual unit. Second is that it deals with price theory, that is the prices of goods and services as well as the factors of production. Now we can see it is related with the partial equilibrium. Now I would like to throw for a little bit light on this topic. What is partial equilibrium? Equilibrium is the balance between 2 factors. Here we can see microeconomics deals with partial equilibrium. Because it's only studying about the individual economic unit, it is only analyzes the equilibrium position of an individual economic unit. Therefore, it is dealing with the partial equilibrium. It isolates an individual unit from other forces and studies its equilibrium independently. So it's isolating an individual unit from other forces and it's studying it individually. Therefore, we can say it is partial equilibrium. Be it studied about the whole economy in detail, then we could have told that this is about the, this is about a, what we can say, this is about the whole equilibrium because it's studying all factors of the individual. But since it only studies the individual, we can say it's a partial equilibrium. Now telling about the different assumptions, okay, based on certain assumptions, what we can say, all other things remaining constant, that is ceteris paribus, such as perfect competition, laissez-faire policy, pure capitalism, full employment, etc. These assumptions make the analysis simple. So microeconomics begins with a fundamental assumption that all other things being constant, such as perfect competition, be laissez-faire policy, or pure capitalism, or full employment, these are assumptions. So these assumptions make the analysis simple because it's only dealing with the fundamental things, not with the nationwide things. Fifth one, we can say that it's a slicing method. Now there is a big economy. So consider that economy is a big tree and we are dividing it into branches, fruits, flowers, leaves, etc., etc. Similarly, microeconomics divides the whole economy into small slices. Therefore, we can say that it's uses the slicing method. Okay, over here, one example is also given that the individual income out of national income is next, right? So, one slice of economy, that is the individual economy. Now we can see that the use of marginalism principle is used in microeconomics. What is this marginalism? The term marginal means the change bought in total by the small amount, right? So a change bought in total by a small thing or a small unit or an additional unit is called as marginal. So when we say marginal cost, there is already a cost that is existing. But when I'm adding one more unit of cost to that, then the total changes. So that small addition or that addition to the total is called as marginal. So this marginal analysis helps to study variables through the changes. So when we are going through the utility, marginal utility is there. If there is demand, one unit is added, then what will happen? So such analysis can help us study the variables over here. So producers and consumers take economic decisions using this principle. Now the market structure analysis also comes under the light or the scope of or the feature of microeconomics. We can see that it analyzes different markets such as perfect competition, monopoly, monopolist competition, oligopoly, etc. Now, this microeconomics only has limited scope. Why? Can any of my friends recall? Because it's only study about the individual units. So it's only limited. It does not deal with the nationwide problems such as inflation, deflation, balance of payment, be it poverty, unemployment, etc., etc. So its scope is limited. So these 8 points are given in your textbook, and out of the, if you study all the topics are points are to be remembered, but even if you write 6 points along with examples, it would be great help for your exam. Now, when we see the importance of microeconomics, we can see that there is price determination. Okay. So for determining price, microeconomics is very much useful, because I already told you that there are some forces that play in the market which helps us determining the price, and also various factors of production. Next is free market economy. As microeconomics helps us in understanding the working of a free market economy, that is where the economic decisions such as what to produce, how much to produce, or for whom to produce are taken at individual level. There is no intervention by any other agencies, be it a government or any other authoritative uh, agency. So this becomes very easy. Now, foreign trade. Now, what is foreign trade? Microeconomics helps in explaining various aspects of foreign trade, like the effects of tariff on a particular commodity, determination of a currency exchange rates of any countries, or any international gains from any international trades. So these can be explained well by the macroeconomics analysis. So this is very another important point why microeconomics should be there. Then it helps in economic model building. So this microeconomics helps in understanding the various complex economic situations with the help of different economic models. Now, these economic models are used building variables. So we already know microeconomics helps in studying about various variables, because we are going through marginal analysis. So these models can be really helpful while going through microeconomics. Now, the business decisions. So it can also help businessmen take important decisions, right? So it can also help businessmen take important decisions. So they know about the various variables, they can know about the prices, etc. So it's very much helpful. Also, it's helpful to the government, because the minute things can be analyzed through this. So it helps in better framing of economic policies. So in this way, it also helps the government also. Also, this microeconomics deals with allocation of resources and promoting economic welfare. We saw in the scope of microeconomics. Again, that factor makes it important or helpful for the government. The seventh thing that we can see over there is that the welfare economics, that is the optimum utilization. What do you mean by optimum utilization? There is no wastage of resources. Now, again, this makes it very much useful, or it helps in getting the best results out of the economy. So because of these 7 factors, there are much more, but this is in a short. So because of all these factors, we can say that microeconomics is important. Now let's see what is macroeconomics. Macroeconomics is the branch of economics which analyzes the whole economy. In microeconomics, it was dividing into small parts and analyzing the individual ones, but here it is analyzing the entire economy. Now we can see that it deals with total employment, national income, national output, total investment, total saving, etc., etc. So here the major problems are there. Therefore, it studies the aggregates. Now let's see the definition. What does this J.L. Hansen say? J.L. Hansen says that macroeconomics is a branch of economics which considers the relationship between large aggregates such as volume of employment, total amount of savings, investments, national income, etc. Now let's see the scope of this macroeconomics. Theory of income and employment comes here. The theory of general price and inflation comes here. The theory of economic growth and development comes here. Also, the macro theory of distribution comes here. Excuse me, friends. Here we can also see that the theory of income and employment can be divided into two. That is the theory of consumption function and the theory of investment function. So when we come to the income and employment, there is consumption that is mattering, and also there is investment that is mattering. And this leads to the theory of business cycles also. Because the money is coming into the business, then the consumption is happening, then the investment is happening, again money is generated, and that's how the business cycle goes on. Next, we can see it deals with general price level and inflation, wherein the general price of all the products and services are reviewed, as well as it also helps us in explaining what causes such fluctuations. So deflation, inflation, all this comes in account while we do this general theory of price level and inflation. Next theory, which is under the scope of macroeconomics, is that it considers the economic growth and development. It also explains the causes of underdevelopment and poverty. It also suggests the strategies for economic development and how we can accelerate or speed up the economic growth. Fourth, we can say that macroeconomics is the theory of distribution. It deals with distribution, that is the how the total economic income can be divided into rent, wages, profit, interest, etc. etc. So the nation's total national income is divided into various factors, that is rent, wages, interest, profits, etc. So how this can be done, that we can see in the theory of distribution. Now coming to the features, the first feature that we saw here while we saw the definition of macroeconomics or the meaning of macroeconomics was that it deals with the whole economy as a whole. So it studies aggregates, right? Aggregate concepts such as aggregate national income, aggregate general price level, etc. etc. Now we can see about the income theory. So in this income theory, again, we are going to study the various concepts of national economics or the different elements or the methods of accounting this national. So here we deal with the aggregate demand and aggregate supply. In microeconomics, we were studying about the individual demand and individual supply, but here we're going to deal with the aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Now it explains the causes of fluctuations in the national economy that leads to cycles such as inflation and deflation also. Again, we can see there is a general equilibrium analysis. So what is this general equilibrium? In macroeconomics, it was partial because only dealing with individual units, but here the whole economy. So we can see this is general economic equilibrium analysis. It deals with the behavior of demand, supply, and price in the whole economy. Therefore, it's called general equilibrium analysis. Now, interdependence. So there are various aggregate economic variables which are dependent on each other. So if there is an output, this is the income, this is the employment, this is the investment, this is the price level, etc. Right? But it all depends upon each other. It is dependent upon each other. If there is no income, there is no output. If there is no output, there is no employment, right? And if there is no savings, then there is no investment. In that level, it happens. So if the price, if the income level is high, the price level can be high. If the income is very low, then the price can cause it the condition of inflation, etc. So here we can see this particular things coming in. Now we can see that this is a lumping method. Lumping means what? It studies the whole economy rather than a part. Therefore, according to Professor Boulding, forest is an aggregation of trees, but it does not reveal the properties of an individual tree, right? So when we study about the forest, we see about the whole forest. We doesn't see about one particular thing. Therefore, what we can say from this, the difference between a micro and macroeconomics can be revealed. So when I'm studying the microeconomics, I'm only telling about the properties of an individual tree. But when I'm doing a macroeconomics, I'm studying the properties of the tree in general. So this follows a lumping method. Now the growth models. We saw that there are various economic models in macroeconomics, but in macroeconomics we study with the different models which are related to growth. So it is emphasizing on economic developments. Okay, so there is one growth model that is known as Mahalanobis growth model, which is emphasizing on the basic heavy industries. Now, the seventh point we can see regarding the feature is that the general price level. General price is nothing but the average or the average price of all the goods and services produced in the economy during a year. So, the determination of this change in price level can be studied under this macroeconomics. Then it is policy oriented. Okay, the macroeconomics is a policy oriented science. Here it suggests suitable economic policies to promote economic growth, general employment, control of inflation, depression, etc. Now coming to the importance of macroeconomics. Why it is important? Because we can understand about the functioning of the economic as a whole. It helps us to understand the behavior pattern of the aggregates. Therefore, it's important. Again, we can study about the economic fluctuations, that is the fluctuation in income, output, employment, etc., which would help us to control any other adverse effect on economy. Next, we can study about the national income, right? We can measure the national income and we can see to it that how to formulate formulas in such a way that economic growth and development is accelerated. Also, it helps in economic development. It helps in understanding different problems of economy, which are poverty, unemployment, education problems, differences in standard of living, etc. And thus, we can take steps to achieve economic development. The fifth one that we see over here is rating the performance. So the performance is measured on the basis of national economic income, which is an estimate of the value of goods and services produced in a country. So with this, we can compare the value, national income between different periods and get to know how better the economy is performing year after year. It also studies the macroeconomics variables. There are macroeconomics variables like such as behavior of total income, output, employment, and general price level in the economy. So here we can see that these are the economic variables here, whereas in microeconomics, it was microeconomic variables, right? So here we are going to see about the total ones in the macroeconomic variables. So this helps in understanding how these economic variables work in a whole economy. That is what is the study of microeconomics variables are related to. Also, it helps in understanding the level of employment. It helps in analyzing how more employment opportunities can be brought to the economy. Now, if we see the difference over here, we have already know that the meaning is itself is a difference because one deals with economy, individual unit of economy, and one is dealing with aggregate. Next, we can see that the tools. One is using individual demand and individual supply, whereas the other is using aggregate demand and aggregate supply to determine price. Then we can see the scope. The scope, demand, supply, product pricing, factor pricing, production, consumption, etc. are considered when it is a microeconomics. Whereas when it is a macro, we deal with national income, general price level, employment, money, etc. Also, we can see the importance. One helps in understanding about the individual units of economics like price determination, model building, business decisions, etc. Whereas the other helps in studying economic fluctuations on the study of national income, or we can say economic development. One deals with a theory that is a price theory, and the other deals with the economic and employment theory. Microeconomics deals with individual income, individual output, and the other deals with national income and national output. So this is how the first chapter is dealing with. Now I hope you friends can solve this exercise and understand this better. Please come out with your suggestions related to this, and I would be soon coming with a new session which will be a capsule format of the second chapter of economics. In this way, I would cover your more portions, okay, or I would take up 2 chapters in one session or so in the coming sessions, please let me know your suggestions so that we can fastly go through all these portions in a very quick way. So till we meet again, bye bye, take care, dear friends.